Say some things that might be usable for the intro. Let's do that.
Say the podcast name. Say our names. And then share what we think it is.
Welcome to It's Happening for You.
For you. Is this even the song we want to start our podcast with?
This is It's Happening for You, the podcast with Robin Meharry and
Stephanie Lentini.
we love you. Love you. And then the music begins.
Anna 1.
Welcome to because that's also like listening to the episode. I would listen to that part. I was like, that's so funny.
Hi, Robin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice one. Hi, everyone. We're back and we're coming at you. I mean, I don't know about that, but hi, we're back. We're back, and I got my besties kitty cat shirt on, and
one of my faves.
Yeah. It's been a couple of weeks since we put anything out. We definitely have been recording stuff, but then deciding not to put it out. So Rob and I were both going through a little bit of like messy weeks last week. I mean, yes. I'll speak for myself. I was going through a messy week.
1000%.
And a little bit this week too. So anyway, we're back and we're psyched to talk.
Yeah. And share all that, like what we've been going through, you know?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so when you tune in, Robin, where would you like to begin today?
Like two things came up. It was like, first one was like anything that we want to bring up from like last episode to this episode, since we both did you finish listening to?
No, I listened to 10 minutes of it.
Oh, well, that doesn't work.
I was like, Robin did her homework though, so she'll tell me the things she wants to bring up from the last one.
I really depend on you to remind me.
For context, we listened to episode 13 because it'd been a while, and also we FYI, Rob and I never listened to any episodes before we put them out. After we put them out, like I've probably listened to a few and I enjoyed them, but in general, like I found well, I don't really have a reason for it. I mean, part of my thought was like, I'll be less self-critical if I don't listen to myself. But actually, every time I do listen, I find that I really enjoy it. And there's no like self-critique whatsoever. It's almost like I'm observing someone other than myself. When I'm listening, I'm like a different person observing different people. And it's quite trippy in a way. It's kind of funny. But anyway, so that's what we're talking about. We both listened to a little bit of the last episode and episode 13 and got inspired. I was like, dude, Robin, this is some good shit. We need to record again. So
and then I listened to it. I was like, this is so good. Like totally what just Steph said, like observing, like it's not me talking. I don't know. It's really weird. It's like a weird thing, but I love it. It's so much fun. And I was like, this is awesome. I need to listen to the recordings more often. And it was so funny because it felt like, at least for me, what I was talking about in like the last, episode, then I played out. I played out like kind of like the monsters in the basement a bit.
Yes.
In regards to the subject mainly was like my beloved.
Yes.
And so it's just so funny how then listening back, I'm like, I didn't even remember what we talked about. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, we talked about this. And then it was like all unfolded, how it did.
Yeah, actually, I find that to be really interesting. So I'm pretty sure the date on that one was August 26th, and it's September 14th today. So it's been like 3 weeks.
Mm.
And you were like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy. We were like talking about like my beloved. And then I was sort of like you just said, but I'll repeat it. Like I was kind of going through that over the last couple of weeks of like feeling the desire that I have regarding like my relationship and my beloved, or my relationship to my beloved, and feeling like I'm having it and then not having it, and sort of going through the undulations of that, like
Yes.
finding that balance or the sweet spot, or the calm sea, around this topic,
Yes.
and knowing it's there and knowing it's done, but at times not feeling that way. um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, totally. And I think it's really interesting. This is one of the things that I was reflecting on before bed last night. Um, that I think one of the ways that works really well for me, around like intentionally manifesting, is talking about something,
Mm-hmm.
is actually speaking, and hearing the words spoken. And
Yes.
I would say that this actually plays really
Yes.
well into that, because we talk about these things that are almost aspirational, like I've
Yes.
been exposed to this idea. I've been reminded of this idea, and it really resonates, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm psyched. And you and I talk about it, right? And then we sort of play out like the actual real life, like what it feels like to, yeah, play in that field of intentional manifesting with this idea, with this
Yes.
new thing. And I think that
Love it.
talking is so important for me, that I was actually speaking my affirmations and stuff aloud last night and this morning to
Ooh.
myself, and I could feel like a difference. I could feel strength to it, that it feels more real, to me. This is a personal thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been playing with writing, I've been playing with seeing, I've been playing with my inner ear of hearing, like hearing others people say things to me, um, about what, having that I have what I'm wanting, and so on. And yeah,
Right.
speaking those words was really resonant for me. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, my thoughts about speaking versus writing is that I've always in the like before I would always gravitate to writing. So I even in my session with the Communion of Light before we were talking about, I think it was in terms of like cash flow, and they're like, what resonates with you more, speaking or writing? And at the
Yes.
time, I was like writing. They're like, okay, we would suggest that you write out basically affirmations of what you want, making a
Yes.
list. Oh, it was about ideal clients. And I was like, okay, which I did at the time. But it's funny that you're bringing this up because I wasn't even like aware of this or kind of clocking this, but I have since that moment. I think that was like 2 months ago or whatever it was. I writing isn't like I enjoy writing. Like I journal a lot just to
Mm-hmm.
like get things out, but writing the affirmation part
Mm-hmm.
isn't as powerful as me just sitting with my eyes closed and like saying it out loud to myself in my head
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then feeling it like as I'm saying it, because like there's something with writing for me that feels a little disconnected,
Mm-hmm.
where that's not how I felt before, but now it's more powerful with the speaking, which is
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't realize that for myself either.
Yeah. 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 I realize like it's been sort of this perfect storm of, in a great way, but like of me having more conversations with people about like what our job is intentional manifesting, and being really quite clear about
Mm-hmm.
that now is like I almost feel like I don't have any need to push against culture or what's expected of me or motivation or any of those sort of things, like, oh, how other people see me, because I'm like, I just, I'm not there, I'm beyond that, and not in like a hierarchical way. It doesn't feel like relevant. And what I've been hearing myself say to so many people is like, we're master manifestors, and what we're doing here is we're intentionally manifesting. And I've been having more conversations about like playing with the different ways that you go from just imagining to pulling it sort of through, not going out and getting it, but pulling it through in your imagining by making it real with a sensory experience.
Yes.
Like I'm hearing someone say, wow, that was amazing. Like, you're doing so well. Like, you just seem flush with finances. And I don't know what you've been doing differently, but, hearing, seeing new digits on the screen, seeing a check, opening a check, depositing a check. What else? Writing it down, like as in an affirmation, like this is done and it's here now. And then speaking. So I've been exploring this idea more. And then when we were reviewing episode 13, and you were like, this is crazy, because we were talking about it and then I was experiencing it. And I'm like, dude, that like, and I feel that's why I want to talk so much too. Like, so I feel these like massive impulses to like just speak to someone about these ideas. And that's like part of the playground for me. But what I'm excited about in even that awareness and knowing that is that I'll be even more intentional with what I'm speaking, because that's what I'm like, oh my gosh, not sure or whatever, but being like, yeah, this is how it is. This is what I'm having.
Yes.
Like just more clarity or decisiveness with my speech, even too, no matter who I'm talking to or what the context is.
Yep.
No pressure.
No pressure.
I immediately was like, oh God, don't say the wrong thing. So I'm just giving myself the permission, no pressure. It's all good. You can't fuck it up.
Fuck it. Fuck it. The thing I like about this too, and this is what you and I had talked about, like and I think this is what we experience when the Communion of Light has their conversations with people, and people come in and they have their questions. And this is, I'm going to speak for myself right now. So I'm going to go back to a point that you helped.
An I statement.
I statement. Not everyone does this, but and of course I'm noticing then, everybody's an extension of me. So I'm noticing it outside of me as well.
Totally. Good point. Okay.
But it's the kind of the point, like you helped me with the other day, which is like, I was saying, oh, I really want this wall built.
Yes.
In my room.
Yes.
And it was like a sneaky little thing I was doing where I was figuring out what I thought was possible for me to have now. That logically made sense.
Yes.
It was my logic mind that was like, this logically makes sense. I could have this now.
Yes. Can you just like, I don't want to interrupt your train of thought, but I also want you to provide a little bit of context of like what you're even talking about. Like, what are you talking about?
Totally. Okay. So thank you. Nobody knows where I'm at. Most people don't even watch the video.
And Gina does.
Okay. Hi, Gina.
Hi, Gina.
So the room I'm in is downstairs at my friend's place. And what we did to kind of make this a bedroom is there's an office space here, but it just is like a cutout of a door. And so we put a barn door in front of it to separate these two rooms. And with that, it's like, it's not a real door. It's like, you could slide it open and slide it shut. Yeah. And here you can hear sound through the walls, like it's not a ton of privacy. And it's worked for the temporary, but I found myself feeling that contrast more recently of wanting more of the privacy, because we've been like kind of talking about like, when can I record, when are they on calls, like can I take a phone call in here that's then is a private phone call, that kind of stuff. That's just like, it's been showing the contrast of my desire of what I want
for more privacy.
For more privacy. So I was saying, oh, well, if we could just, and they've been talking about filling in that door and building a wall. And I was like, okay, that would be great, And then I was telling Steph out loud about this, and she was like, yeah, but is that what you really want?
You were throwing, I'm going to put it in this terms. You were throwing a little fit because you were like, they said they were going to talk to a contractor. Nobody's come in. Nobody started the building. I want it to be done. And then I was like, hey, Robin, but is it really a wall you're wanting? Or is it something more than a wall? Like, just like
Yeah.
really in this context of.
Yes, privacy. Yeah. Right. Like, and it was like, no, I want a mansion that is mine, that I own, that is, a million different rooms I can go into for privacy. And I was like, it was just so great because it was like, I feel that I sometimes have a tendency to be like, yeah, go into this place where of things I maybe think is like reachable.
Yes.
In my logical mind.
Yes.
But that's not ultimately what I desire. And like I have been, desiring a home of my own. And it's what I play with in my imagination all the time, which I think And so anyways, it was just perfect. So there's another aspect of speaking this stuff out loud.
Yes.
To get more clarity, even more clarity. And because I do, or at least what I hear, everyone's an extension of me in some of these questions, is people coming in and they're kind of floating around what they truly want.
Yeah.
And it is kind of, or at least for me in this aspect, I think there was still a little bit of a thing where it was like, yeah, but can I really have the mansion? I'll just take the wall. I'll take the wall. That's all I can have, I
just want the wall.
So silly.
And you might also want a wall here, but like in the way that our relationship works, like I feel the welcoming from you for me to like kind of, go like,
let's amp that up a little bit.
Yeah, like because I think that like you might want more beyond just one wall, and I've used that metaphor a lot this week. Actually, I told a lot of people about the wall, and a lot of people have been like, "Dude, I totally resonate with that." Of like feeling this sort of like complacency or whatever. Like this is where I'm at. What can I get here?
Yes.
Like yes. Okay, if this is where I have to be.
Yes.
What can I get here? Yes. Right? Like that sort of vibe.
That's it.
And you can have anything. It doesn't have to be based on what you're seeing and anything, that you want, not anything period ever, right? But like it doesn't have to be based on what you've ever seen anyone else have. Although sometimes that helps, like for sure that helps for me to like see the example that it's possible, even if it's like really, like removed from me, like not a friend of mine. But anyway, totally, it doesn't have to be logical and it doesn't have to be within the context that you're in. And I also feel like there's something that I've been like honing in on with like a laser focus of these sort of different areas and topics, like your space and the wall, it points to like a few different topics for you. It's like it's not just related to your personal space and your home, but also like cash flow, relationship, beloved, your own family, like things like that.
Yes, it's very
tangled. It's not really, I wouldn't say it's tangled. I would just say that it's not just about like your room. You know what I mean? And so to kind of like open up the perspective on that and to just be like, oh yeah, like in this particular realm, what am I wanting in this particular realm? And I feel like this is sort of what you're speaking to as well when people skirt around what they're wanting. Like I heard a few people recently talking about like, I want to be doing this thing and let's call it my business. And I want it to be fun. And I want to be having fun while doing it and having fun interactions. And I've heard like quite a few people saying this recently. So extensions
Mm-hmm.
of me, and interesting because it's outside of me. So it's definitely like I feel less identified with that thought now, which is a cool thing to acknowledge. Like those thoughts I'm recognizing outside of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want a business where I just am having fun all the time. It doesn't feel like work, and lots of money is coming in, and I'm inspiring others and impacting others. And like, I don't know, there's this sort of this bullshit meter that goes off inside of me and is like, no, what are you wanting? Like, what do you want? Do you want a job? Do you want a business, or do you want cash?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a business, or do you want fun interactions with people? Like,
Mm-hmm.
sort of like break out of that, like that, in at least in my mind, and because I can relate to this thought, is like the way to have fun
That's
and
it.
financial freedom is to have my own business on my terms. And so it's still based on this logical
Yes.
progression of like, if I'm going to have that, that's the way to do it. You're like
Yeah.
determining the way it has to be done. And
Yes.
I've really been enjoying breaking out of that, like, oh, I have to work to have money, or I have to have clients to have money, or I have to have a business or a clear program, or an ideal client avatar that I'm selling to, and a marketing plan. Like, it just feels
Mm-hmm.
so fun to be like, oh, I just want cash.
Yes.
Like, that feels
Yeah.
so incredibly expansive for me to be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't want all of those things. I want cash, and I have cash, and I'm having
Yes.
cash now.
Yes. It's just like releasing the how. The how are you getting the cash? Because our logical mind will be like, in order to get the cash, I have to work in whatever capacity that looks like. Well, I want the work to look fun. Well, what if you don't need to work to get cash? You remove that aspect from it completely. Now what?
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
what? Do
Mm-hmm.
you still want to coach and or whatever, do your business?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
when cash isn't the end goal of that,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's fun to play around with those questions, and
Mm-hmm.
then it sparks that real, like, the truth of what you
That you're
truly
wanting.
desire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. That was a great point to bring up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to say this. Okay, I'm going to pause, and then I want to move into this because it's related to just the having of cash. In the Communion of Light current series, it's called The Mechanics of Manifesting. And from day 4, or I think it was day 5 actually, it was all about allowing and having. Allowing and having. And I just re-listened to it before we hopped on to chat. And I listened to it yesterday. And part of allowing and having is well, I'm not going to actually presume to be an expert because I don't have clear thoughts about that, but like to put it in like the present moment. Oh, this is what I want to say. Like,
Great.
instead of saying like, I want cash, I want to have more cash, or I want to have more money, like I have it now. Like, just declaring like I have it now. But one of the things that they kept sort of honing in on in this conversation and discussion was how, like, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
Yep.
And we can actually, like, I can pull many examples of that right now. Like, I have a car. I have a car
Mm-hmm.
that I
Mm-hmm.
can go drive. It's operational. I can't see it right now, but
Mm-hmm.
I know that when I go outside, it's going to be there. I know that when
Mm-hmm.
I go to my fanny pack, because that's what I use for a purse, that the keys are going to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the car is there, and I'm not seeing it. So I'm not manifesting it in this moment. But when I go to use it, sit in the seat, drive it, it will be there. I know that.
Yep.
And I also love knowing that there are versions of me already having the things that I'm wanting, but also like the amount of cash that I'm wanting, I'm already having. Like, It's already here. It's just not necessarily something that I'm seeing. And I'm not checking my bank account balance right now. You know what I mean? But I know it's there. And this ties into what I was playing with last night before I went to bed. One of the affirmations that I've been writing down is I'm a millionaire already. I'm a millionaire already. Not like someday I'll be a million. Like I am a millionaire already. And speaking the words out loud, that was specifically those words. I was like, oh, I can like feel when I put like emphasis on different words within that, like I'm a millionaire already.
Yeah.
Or I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire already. And speaking those words, I'm like, yeah, like just because you cannot see it doesn't mean it's not there. Like electricity, like water, like my car, like everything else I'm manifesting when I'm ready to use it. So anyway, like this is just fun. It's fun to play with. And I'm enjoying in the last 24 hours, maybe less, 12 hours, saying it out loud and feeling the absolute truth of that. Like,
yeah,
I'm at probably a billionaire already. Probably.
Yeah.
I might even be a trillionaire already. Who knows? But it feels easier for me to say millionaire. And so like, I haven't been making myself stretch, to a different amount or a different number or whatever. But like, millionaire feels pretty easy to say. And so, and I'm not like trying to figure out how it is or anything. I'm just like, oh yeah, like there's a version of me sitting right here next to me who is that, who when she opens her bank account, there are digit, whatever, however many digits there are, when 7 digits or something, 6 digits,
there you go.
7 digits. Yeah. In multiple accounts, but also I can just feel. And I remember a couple, maybe like 5 or 6 weeks ago, starting to feel all of the vibration, all of my desires around me as like the vibrational component, like the characteristics I desire with my partner, or the trips, or the next version of the car that I have, or clothing, or whatever. I could feel that all of those things are here with me.
Yes.
Yep. All around.
Yes. It's like how I feel like they've said this, Sarah Landon, and the council always says it already exists. Those things already exist. They're already, if you need to use logic, they already literally physically exist in this reality. They exist. So you're not creating something from nothing.
Yes.
They exist.
Yeah.
They're already here.
Yes.
And, it's interesting, like what you talked about, because it is quite a paradox, right? Where in your imagination, to bring, like you were saying, to pull the imagination through, right? Or however you phrase that.
To make it more real and physical and tangible.
Yes. You use physical in your imagination, you use physical attributes to those things.
Sensory experiences.
Yes. And then, then the paradox of this is, with your eyes open in this version right here, ignore your eyes. Your eyes aren't telling you the full story. So if you can't see it, like you were explaining, like just because you can't see your car, it's out there.
Yes.
So it's like, you can't trust that just because your eyes are looking around and you can't see your car, that then you don't have a car.
Yes.
Right. So there's like, it's just funny when you were talking about that. I was like, oh, that's funny. It's like there's such a paradox to this,
Oh yeah. There's an absolute paradox. Like we just want logic. We just want something logical, provable, repeatable. We want
provable.
Those things,
yes. Yep.
Right. And repeatable. Okay. Yes. I got it. Now I can do it again.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Got it. Let's just repeat and repeat, repeat. And there's that thing, and there's that thing, and there's that thing, and boom, 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 you know, and it all shows up all at once. But it's fun. Like, it's actually fun that it's not logical, and that there's no like clear set path of like, this is how you manifest this, and this is how you manifest that, and this whatever, like, or how you bring it through to the physical.
Yes.
Because like, yeah, it's fun. You're playing with your intuition and feeling into what feels better, and with each different thing, you know, and there's just, I love how the communion of light reminds us that there are very few things you're playing with. Very, very, very few things.
Yes.
The majority, 99.9% of what you're manifesting, you're doing by default, and you're already doing it, like breathing air. And you know, the examples they give so often are that you're breathing oxygen and you don't know how that is happening, but you're doing it and you're allowing it to be done, and you're
manifesting breathing in this every moment in your breath.
And the exchange of the gases, and like, yes, well, our beating hearts, all of the things that are operating, you know, around and here and continue to show up. Even like my car, you might call that like sort of in the default, until I'm like, oh, I want a different car, and then I kind of pull it out and I play with it, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Mold it, you know. And it's fun to also play with the whole idea of that, like, time and space, and how you could kind of I could if I could suspend my belief in, you know, consistency and permanency enough, I could go outside and experience a different car. I from what I know about myself right now, I don't know that I could actually just make a new car show up outside, but who knows? Maybe someday. I don't know.
Yes.
But there are other things that have been fun to play with that are a little bit easier, like you know, maybe less attachment to, or something that have changed and been like, oh, I thought it was like different, but nope, now it's like that. And okay, like, either the backstory fills in, or like your $5 bills.
Yes. Yep.
Right. Where like you thought you had one, but you played with the idea of there being two, and then there were three. And I just want to point out that it was better than you even expected, because there were three in not in the end, but like in that story, in that experience. And how fun is that like you were able to sort of play with the expectation of things maintaining consistency, and we're able to have a different experience with $5 bill showing up in your wallet.
Yes. And back to that point of this or something better.
Absolutely.
And I think we maybe talked about this last time, but it is that whole understanding that every moment we're evolving. And so that even what we, you know, what I maybe sat down and desired this morning in my imagination now has evolved, has already evolved to something better.
Yes.
You know, and that's so fun.
Yes. We talked about this not on a pod, like an episode record, like we didn't share it, but we did talk a little bit about this or something better, because I was like so excited about having had a discussion with a client about this or something better. And then I came to find out that somebody specifically asked that question, what about the idea of this or something better, on that the workshop of that day earlier in the morning, but I hadn't listened to it. I didn't listen to it till the following day or the following evening. And I was like, I was just talking about this with someone because of the specificity of her desire. Like, she just wanted, you know, it was like, we can do this thing where we put our desires in like a frozen state. It's like, no, I want it like this. And sometimes those desires could have been formed like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And to think like, I've never gotten this thing that I wanted. But like, let yourself evolve and also allow, like be in that sort of state of allowing of like, I've already evolved. So yes, this is like what it looked like in my mind's eye, or this is what it felt like at that time, but like it's gonna be better than that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of giving that space or whatever of like saying to yourself this or something better, it opens up that
Yes.
space for the desire to evolve and the physical manifestation of how you saw it to evolve into actually more of what you're wanting.
Yes. Yes.
Even more of what you're wanting.
Yeah, like just that statement alone immediately feels expansive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just like it takes it from that kind of our logical perspective of like, okay, this is what I see and this is what I want. And then you're like, or something better. You're like, well, I don't even know what that would be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, boom, cool. You know, that's awesome. I love that.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, I know I do want to, there's so much. This is so good, by the way.
It
already.
is.
So good. So today in the series today, I just caught the like a couple live questions earlier. But one of the things or one of the metaphors that the community of light was using was this idea of, you know, when bugs get in the house, like they, you know, think they're going through a tree, but they've gone through a wall and now they find themselves inside your house and they're like,
your ants.
Yeah, but the ants. I saw a spider the other day. You know, these concepts like that I've already been like playing with in my experience.
Yes.
And they were using it as a metaphor of they're like these bugs that come in from outside looking for, you know, food or whatever, and they're kind of confused, like, how did I get inside these walls, you know? And they're just like opinions. Opinions that come in and they're confused and you're like, let me help you outside where you want to be. And it's like, you don't need to kill them. You don't need to, you know, wish they weren't there or whatnot. You just, and he was using Frank as an example. Frank lives in Florida, and so he has a lot of different bugs that comes into his house, and he will take a glass or whatever and just escort them outside.
Yes.
And I loved that kind of metaphor with opinions because for me, I sometimes will be, you know, opinion will come in and I'll give focus to it. So an opinion that doesn't feel good, and I'll give focus to it. And then I'm like, kill, you know, gotta get rid of it. Get rid of this. Get rid of it. And
never come back.
Exactly. Never come back. You shouldn't be here.
Yeah. Why? What am I doing wrong that this showed up?
Exactly. Why have I not healed from this yet, or whatever? How have I not evolved?
So much further along.
Oh my gosh, this is actually, yes, this is so good, because I didn't even realize, but I was gonna, I think, oh my gosh, it was, I left Steph a voice note 2 days ago.
Yeah, and then you deleted it.
And then I deleted it because it was like, "Mah!" And then I was like, oh, that felt good. And I was like, I don't actually even remember exactly what I said. And I actually want to like delete that delete it.
Yeah.
From everything. And so I was like, you know, that feels really good. So I literally went in and deleted it before Steph listened to it. And part of like my rant was exactly this about like feeling a little bit of like regression. Like, yes. I feel like I've regressed. Like, what the fuck is going on? Yes. And so anyways, to bring all of this back, like the metaphor of these bugs coming in the house that you then, and you just go, oh, you're just a little confused, and just, I'm going to release you.
Yes.
Gently release you. It's not like I need to kill you. You need to never be here again, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, let me show you the way out.
Yeah. Yes.
And it feels so like, I mean, it does feel loving. It feels gentle, it feels loving, and it's not making anything wrong. It's just like releasing it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I just love that. That just really, like, today was like, yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you,
Yes.
thank you.
I love how they offer up so many different metaphors for what the worse feeling thought is versus the better feeling thought, and like how much attention to give to the worst feeling thought. And on like, to pull back a little bit on this idea in general, we have just been trained very well to fix things. And so if something shows up as a problem or criticism, even though like those thoughts that we were joking about, our opinions that feel worse, like you're not evolved, you're going backwards, as if there's somewhere to be going, period. Right. But like, this has just been such a like kind of perspective for many of us, and especially those of us who are like spiritual seekers. Like, we're seeking ascension, and like we want to achieve enlightenment, so to be, that's what we do. How do we improve ourselves but to find fault and get rid of it, right? And so it's sort of this huge perspective shift for me, even though I'm sure plenty of teachers have offered it to me for a very long time. We've just been really well trained to find problems and to fix them. And so when a thought shows up in this sort of opinion form that feels worse, then we're like, we want to kill it, we want to get rid of it, we want it to never come back, we want to know that it's gone for good. But like, to acknowledge it as, this is one of the things that I've been enjoying, and it's a very logical statement, but it feels good. It feels good for me. It's like, okay, my job is an intentional manifester, intentionally manifesting. This is my job now. That's all, period. That's my job. I don't have any other job. That's it.
Correct.
And so like, how do I do the best job of that? What's most helpful for me to do a good job of my job? And it's having thoughts, like, and focusing on the thoughts, the actions, the words spoken that feel better, that feel better in the doing of them, not that will feel better later. That one gets me sometimes. Not that will feel better later, but that feels better in the saying, doing, and thinking of them, right? In that exact moment, immediate payoff. It's helpful in its immediacy of the payoff. And I still just have habit of giving attention to opinions. And I think last week, a little bit of my like spiral of like just was just because I was like thinking thoughts that felt worse, and I was giving a lot of attention to them. And I was talking about it more, and nothing went wrong. Like, you and I had a beautiful week of sort of venting with each other, and thank you. I just
thank you.
I thought that there was going to be value or payoff in, talking about these things. And there really wasn't, like, ultimately, and except for the clarity, like I definitely got clarity, but I think I also spent more time there than, but it doesn't matter. Cause it's also like a wrong. I don't even know what happened last week, honestly. Like, exactly. I'm just kind of bringing a few things through, and I don't know. I don't know. It was a great week. Exactly right.
Exactly right. And like, I think the only thing the community of light would ever even say to that is, you maybe delayed something, but there is no delay,
exactly.
Also,
exactly.
Yeah.
But also, just like releasing that habitual need to like dig in.
Yes. Dig in. That's it. Yes. And figure it out. Why am I having this thought, this opinion again?
Yes. And no big deal. Again, like, let's just keep bringing that home. Doesn't matter that we do. It's not a pattern of
you're not doing anything wrong. You can't get this wrong.
But it's just practice. And so it's like practice of like, oh, that feels worse, noticing that and just like, oh, what feels better? What feels better?
Yes.
That's sort of what they bring through in their processes of you're not feeling so good. They kind of give those 3 examples of like the least common is that you just have to let the whole house burn down. The second least common is that you actually have to let the monsters out of the basement, which I did a lot of last week. And then the third one is the most common one, which is just you just kind of look away, you know, and you're like, oh, that doesn't feel good or better. It you know, that's a distinction too to make, is that better doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always feel good, but it feels better, and you can tell the difference between better and worse. So anyway, just wanted to put that like little side note in there. But yeah, just continually turning towards the light, whatever, but like just towards what feels better. And there's more traction gained in that field. But also, you know, as I'm saying this, I just am reminding myself that there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. Even giving myself this hard and fast and lofty job of like, I'm an intentional manifester feels a little serious. And I'm just going to be even easier within that and be like, I don't have a fucking job, but this is what I'm doing. This is like, I'm here. I'm in this hologram. It's a garden of delight. Not every day feels delightful because of my perception, the glasses I put on sometimes. And then I'm looking around. I'm like, it's not delightful here, you know, and
yes.
But anyway, I wanted to add that in too, because it's like nothing serious, nowhere
serious. Oh,
no ascension to be had, because we're already
master manifestors
and unconditional love. Manifesting a body. We're beings of light, and that's our essence. That's our nature. There's nothing we have to do to get to that, because it's just what we are.
Exactly.
So that's pretty cool.
Yes. And I loved all that
rant.
And yes, and it's so good. And it is, you know, like releasing the logic around this. And the thing I have loved the Communion of Light saying to a few people, or at least I've noticed recently, I'm sure they've been saying it longer than this, but it's gotten my attention, is, you know, there's like maybe certain beliefs that we have about ourselves or whatnot. And the Communion of Light will say, you'll probably have that belief until you die. Yeah, and you're like, fuck, right? I can't get rid of that. Like, it's not gonna just go away, like with all my hard work, and you know. And they're like, no, but so opinion, or how I perceive what they're saying. Yes, the beliefs equal are the same thing as opinions, the same things as the bugs.
Yes,
and that those beliefs will come back in, and they I love the metaphor too of them talking about how they're like drunk
uncles or drunk cousins or whatever,
coming in and being like, well, you know, when someone's drunk, they're telling the truth, you know, because they have no filter, right? And so you should maybe listen to them, because you know they're telling the truth. And you're like, yeah, but they're drunk. Should I really be like putting all of my, you know, attention on this, a drunk uncle telling me this? And you're like, probably not. And so I love that metaphor.
You really need to get your finances in order. Like that sort of thing, you know?
Exactly. You're going to be poor forever if you don't do, you know, start saving now. And it was just so fun. I love that metaphor too. And also the kind of like, there's something that there's kind of a relief that comes to me when I think, oh, I can't, like, I'm this belief or this opinion, this thought might be a part of my reality, like a part of my experience moving forward. And I can turn away. That third option, I can just turn away.
Yes.
And it's not then having to get rid of it and having to kill it, having to
Yes.
transcend it, and that I've done something wrong if that thought or that opinion or that belief comes back into my awareness,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like I have
Yes.
like this thing where I'm like, oh, I've done something wrong when that
Yes.
happens.
Yes. Is another quick opinion that follows.
Another drunk cousin that comes in.
They love to hang out together, do they not?
Oh, they do. I mean, everybody loves another, drunkard with them. They don't want to be drunk on their own.
They are a pair. They are a pair. Oh, you fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
actually noticed that this morning and yesterday, and it's good to just like um I've been having more conversations with people and acknowledging sort of a newness, a new openness and expansiveness in terms of how I think about cash and money. I'm going to talk specifically about that. And I've
Hmm.
been actually talking to a lot of people this week because I've been joining these other group calls and just hearing them talk about, their thoughts and whatever opinions about money and being like, "Oh, like I can remember at a time thinking that thought, but like that I don't think it very often anymore. It's just, it's an opinion." And then I yesterday I booked a hair appointment and I decided to book a balayage, which I was talking to you about before. Like I don't typically do much spa treatment, but that doesn't mean I can't, and it doesn't mean I don't want to. But
Hmm.
it's pretty funny to me that like I bought a pair of $150 tennis shoes the other day. Like,
Hmm.
and I actually spent like $300 at REI and was just like, no big deal. Like, yeah, this is super practical. I look good doing what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. But then when I booked this balayage and haircut, like it's 280. And then I was like, oh, and then I'm going to be tipping like 20%. So blah, 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 okay, it's like over
Yes.
into the 300s. And I noticed the opinion come up of like, do you really need that? Like, do you really want that? Is that like, are you going to be able to do all the other things you want to do if you do that?
Is that practical for you to spend the money on that?
The shoes are practical. That Patagonia shirt's practical, but is the
Yes.
hair practical? Because you're just going to dye it and then cut it. So funny. And, there was almost a part of me that wanted to cancel the appointment because of those opinions. Like,
Hmm.
it's like, oh, should I cancel it? Like, is this guidance? And I'm
Yeah,
just like,
right.
oh,
Yeah.
those are opinions.
Yes. Is
And
this my intuition?
yeah, they feel worse. They feel worse. And so, like,
There
I
you
could just be
go.
like, all right, cool. Then, like, actually, I don't have to be like, bye. I can be like,
Hmm. Be free
bye.
outside where you belong.
That actually felt really good just doing that right there.
Yeah.
It's
I could
like the
feel it.
difference between this and like,
Yeah.
I can feel the release of that. Like,
Hmm.
love you.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Yeah. And not with like anger at the opinion. Actually, that felt really good. So that was a
Yeah,
cool,
love
you
that.
just watched me shift that.
I love it. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I can
And
have balayage and I can go to
yes.
Sedona in December and I can go to Spain for the entire month of February and
Yes.
more.
100%. Yes, and more. Or anything better.
And more.
And
Yeah.
more.
Better. It will be better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And like the kind of back to that point of like, is this my intuition or is this, it's like we can
Guidance.
get guidance, like we can get really stuck in that and like
Yeah.
confused. We can confuse ourselves. And what you said, it's like, well, it feels worse.
Yeah.
So that's it. If it feels worse, then it's not true.
Yeah.
That's how you kind of can tell the difference between intuitive guidance versus a opinion belief, a bug that needs to be escorted outside.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I feel really like kind of like, I don't know, like reverence or something right now.
Yeah, I love that word so much. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah. I feel like I'm making that vibrational shift right now before our very eyes of like, it's okay that it's there.
Yes.
It's not, it doesn't have to be smashed. I
Mm-hmm.
like the bug one. I like the
I
bug
know, me
one a
too.
little bit more than the drunk uncle's one.
Me too. That resonated with me more today
I think
than
I
the other
tend to
one.
get I dislike drunk
Triggered.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit more so I can have less of an easy time feeling love for them.
Yes. Yes,
A
totally.
bug. I'm not afraid of, maybe the bug one wouldn't work for people who are afraid of insects.
Exactly. But I loved how they said it because they just said it in such like, oh, well, it's just a bug that got confused.
It
Like
got
it thought it
confused.
was
I
going
like
into a tree and getting some yummy treats, but it's inside a house. And then they're like, this is why you see bugs at windows because they don't understand what glass is. So they're like, how do I get outside? Like, how do I get in here? And you're like, oh, let me help you.
I love that. I love that. You know what just popped into my head? If you're still here and you're wondering, what are we talking about? We're mostly talking about the current workshop series and questions that people ask within it
Yes.
that the Communion of Light is offering. Each week, they offer a new workshop, not always, and they being Frank Butterfield, who is the channel of the Communion of Light, and Paul. Um, Sometimes he takes breaks. He actually has a live event coming up for the first time in like 8 years, which is pretty cool. And it's in Orlando on 11/11. Um,
Mhm.
but Robin and I, we get a lot of juice out of listening to these workshops, whether we're actually showing up live to the call or just listening to replays. Like for me, mostly I just listen to replays,
Same.
um, and enjoy being a part of um that journey altogether of just like being reminded. The Communion of Light is tells us like, we're not a teacher, we're not teaching you anything, we're just reminding you of who you are and who you know yourself to be, and you've hired us to remind you of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to like pop that in so it's not like, oh yeah, you should just know what we're talking about. But although
Yes.
most people who are listening are sort of, but in case this is your first episode, welcome. We love
Welcome.
you.
We love you.
And we love talking about um yeah, being deliberate creators, intentionally manifesting. We're already masters, and exploring and playing with these ideas. So I'm excited to see, what sort of unfolds for us in the next few
Mhm.
weeks, and these ideas that we're playing with right now, and how we sort of play that out into our lives, because it's
Yeah.
obviously one of the things that we are enjoying doing, talking about
Yes.
it and then playing with it even more.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, in the interim.
Nothing better.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, that was actually a perfect like little
Yeah.
final thing, because I know you have to go
Yeah, I
soon,
have to go soon, so it's
and I have to
perfect.
pee.
Great. I love it.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you, Robin. I love
Thank you,
talking with you.
Stephanie.
And thank you everyone else
Love.
for being here.
Thank you. Leave a review. Rate us. 5 stars.
If only if you feel that way.
No, do it either way. No.
Love when restaurants are like, if you give us a 5-star review, we'll give you something for free.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, if I feel that way, then I'll take the free thing.
Exactly.
Love
Same.
it. Okay. All right.
Okay. Love you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. You can visit us at www.itshappeningforyou.com for more information about upcoming episodes and previous episodes, and just learn more about us. Here we go.
And a 3, and a 2, and a 1, and a welcome to right?
It's happening. Let's start from the beginning. It's Happening For You podcast with Robin Meharry
and Stephanie Lentini, the podcast about mastering the creation process and living a life of extraordinary possibilities.
Join us as we just talk every week and chat and share.
Have way too much fun. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you for being here with us.
And the beat drops.
And the beat drops.